What's up, beautiful world? This is TNA Top Notch Audio, and welcome to another episode of r/slash malicious compliance. Our first story will be Grandma's rules. Okay, you can leave then. And then will be, so my hair isn't acceptable? What would you suggest? And last will be no outside drinks in the cinema. If this is your first time listening, remember to hit that subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner. If this is not your first time, welcome back. Enjoy the stories. And this story is posted by u/Bisuma Tequila. Grandma's rules? Okay, you can leave then. This happened about 6 years ago when I worked at my local pub. Now, for context, the landlord operated on a grandma's rules in the pub, meaning anything you said or done that would offend my grandma or yours, then you're out. You don't offend grandma. Simple. I used to supervise the bar while my landlord dealt with the office stuff to help balance the workload. It was a great job overall. Decent wage, was right on my doorstep, and the regulars were class. Except one. We shall call her Karen. Karen was getting married to one of the regulars and was a complete butch. She was this horrible, morbidly obese woman who would complain about the size of the stools and how it doesn't fit her. What's worse is she doesn't acknowledge you. She would just huff and puff until she gets a new drink. I hated that, and so did every member of staff. One day, I got fed up and ignored her because she snapped at me for saying hello. The situation went as follows. Karen: well, aren't you going to serve me? Me: why? K: grandma's rules. My grandma would be offended if I sat here with an empty glass for too long. I immediately had a light bulb moment and waited my moment to strike. I served her as normal and spoke to my landlord about her in the office. I explained what I wanted to do, and he gave me the go-ahead. I went back to the bar where she was spitting fire at the new bar girl I was training. I just calmly told the bar girl to ignore her, serve the customers. I then took her drinks, poured them down the sink, and asked her to leave. Karen: what are you doing? Me: sorry, grandma's rules. She thinks you're a butch and wants you to leave. Spoiler: the landlord is actually a landlady and my grandma. And this story is posted by u/damp sheets and dog hair. So my hair isn't acceptable? What would you suggest? This takes place in the early 2000s. I was working in a video and DVD rental store at the time and was only a couple of weeks into the job, but was enjoying my time there. At the store was me, 2 managers, other guy working the register, and the regional manager for the area. I've always liked having a splash of color in my hair, and it had never been an issue with employment until this instance. At the time, I had my natural brunette hair short and spiked up with a blue patch at the front, which happened to be the same shade as our employee shirts, which pleased me. One day, a few weeks into the job, the regional manager walked in, a woman with a chip on her shoulder the size of her ego. She did her checks on how the store was running, etc., and was talking to me as I was the newest employee there, making sure I knew what I was doing and stuff. As she finishes up, she says offhand to me, "By the way, you'll have to take that color out of your hair. I want it gone before my next visit." This surprised me as I read the employee handbook to make sure I was following all uniform guidelines and made sure it wasn't an issue with the 2 shop managers. So I asked her why I had to change my hair. She instantly got huffy and puffed out her chest and said, "Because I told you to." Are you questioning me? Me: no, I was just wondering what guidelines I've broken as I read the employee and uniform regulations and didn't see anything about hair color in there and want to be sure I haven't missed something. Regional manager: because I told you so, and it's an unnatural hair color, you'll have to get rid of it. That annoyed me, as I've never liked having to do something just because. So I told her, well, other guy at the register has bleached tips. Manager 1 dyes her hair blonde, and manager 2 has maroon hair. None of those are their natural colors, so I don't understand why I'm getting singled out. Regional manager did not like this, and since she couldn't give me an answer, just repeated, "Because I'm your boss and I told you so. And if you don't want to change your hair, you can leave. I will be in next week and I want that color gone." So I said, "I understand. I'll fix it, no worries. But just to be clear, so I'm in keeping with your guidelines, other guy, manager 1 and manager 2 have acceptable color and styles?" To which she said yes. And I asked, "And is my hairstyle okay? Did you want me to cut it a certain way or anything? Or is it just the color?" She started getting annoyed again and said, "You can keep it like that, just get rid of that color." So I confirmed that I would have it sorted before she came in next week, which seemed to satisfy the beast, and she walked off in a cloud of smugness at having laid down her law. As soon as she was out of the door, I told the shop managers what I was going to do, and they laughed but said they'd have my back when she came in again. So my blue patch of hair had to go, no problem. Colored tips, dyed blonde hair, and maroon hair like the other staff had were all hunky-dory. So that weekend, I did all three to be on the safe side. I bleached all my hair near transparent blonde with maroon tips, spiked up in my usual style, as apparently that wasn't an issue. Well, turns out that's not what the regional manager had in mind. Quelle surprise. She came in the next week and lost it. Took me in the back with the two shop managers, shouting about how I was blatantly ignoring her and that she was going to see to it that I was fired. I acted innocent and surprised and said that I had checked with her that this would be okay before she left. My hairstyle was fine, colored tips on the other guy was fine, and she had confirmed that the maroon hair the shop manager had was fine. She was not backing down and assured me she'd report me to the head office for my disrespecting a regional manager like that. She stormed out of the shop on her merry way, so again I told the two shop managers what I was going to do, which was get in touch with the head office's HR department myself, as I was following all written company regulations as well as the regional manager's arbitrary rules, and she seemed to be discriminating against me personally for whatever reason, and I would be pursuing unfair dismissal as there was no reason to fire me. I was darn good at my job and got on well with all the customers and staff. It was only the regional manager out to get me. So I did just that. Emailed the head office's HR saying what had happened, and the two shop managers also emailed on my behalf backing up that I was following all guidelines, including the ones the regional manager made up, and that I was a model employee, for them anyways, but I liked them. And they would attest that I was being singled out and harassed by the regional manager if I got dismissed because of this. The next day, the shop managers called me in to say HR had been in touch and that of course I wasn't going to be fired and there is no company guidelines for things like hair color and not to worry at all about it. Have my hair any way I wanted once it wasn't unkempt. Awesome. That's all I wanted. Happy ending. Now, let's do the super duper happy ending. Diddle do, diddle do, diddle do. A couple weeks later, the new regional manager walked in to introduce themselves. Turns out, I wasn't the only one having issues with the regional manager being on a power trip. After they had several complaints from staff and managers in different stores throughout the area, she was demoted to a regular store manager. I was the straw that broke their back, it seems. And this story is posted by u/Shagrio. No outside drinks in the cinema. The cinema I worked at had a no outside food and drinks allowed in the theater rule. This was to boost sales of the food and drinks sold in the cinema. We, the workers, would usually let people in anyway if they brought snacks or whatnot, as the snacks and drinks inside were ridiculously priced and the manager was cool as well. The only time this rule was actually strictly enforced was when the general manager, GM, made his rounds fortnightly. In this case, there was a storeroom where we would keep the customer's stuff and give it back when they left. This one time, a guy around late teens comes in with his kid brother with a 2-liter bottle of Coke in his hand. The GM was unfortunately there that day and was staring right at me, so I had to ask the guys to leave it behind. They said okay. Cue malicious compliance. The rule stated that outside food and drinks couldn't be taken into the theater where the movie played, not the facility itself. Dude comes out with his brother in 15 minutes and asks for the drink. I take it out, they each take a sip, give it back, and go back inside. They did this every 10 to 15 minutes and disturbed the other patrons and interrupted my work. I was happy to comply, and after they did this about 4 to 5 times, the GM told me to just give them the bottle when they came out next, and I did. Honestly, one of my favorite moments of working there. Those were 3 great stories. To hear the best stories of the week, click on the video in the top left-hand corner. To hear more Reddit stories all related to what you just heard, click on the video in the top right-hand corner. If you have not already done so, click on the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Once again, this is TNA, Top Notch Audio. Thank you for listening and have yourself a great day.